Now, this is an article that's a little old. It's from January 29th of this year. All right. The Halloween franchise's best future is to copy Friday the 13th. There's a loaded statement right there, guys. I could have put that in the title of this stream, but I was like, you don't need to do that. I'll save it for them when I actually start the discussion. All right. Halloween franchise's best future is to copy Friday the 13th. All right. Do I have your attention? All right. Let's read some of this article, okay? The Halloween series has been struggling with its most recent entries, but the incredible popular slasher series could still work if it followed in the footsteps of Friday the 13th. Except for Halloween 3, every Halloween movie follows Michael Myers as he goes on a murderous rampage. Unfortunately, this formula has gone stale after all these years, which, I mean, I don't want to piss people off, but that might be part of the reason why I liked Halloween Ends. There's a whole discussion there to be had. I know, but I guess that was my reason, because I didn't want more of the same. All right, I'm going to continue reading now. All right, don't throw your computer. All right, just hang in with me. During this time, Friday the 13th has been preparing a way to reinvent itself completely. John Carpenter's 1978 film Halloween was incredibly influential, and basically that paragraph is stating that Halloween influenced Friday the 13th, all right? And then Friday the 13th was one of the few that was extremely successful franchise-wise, all right? That's pretty much what that's saying. I don't want to waste your time, all right? So, Friday the 13th has always been about Jason Voorhees terrorizing teenagers, typically guests at Camp Crystal Lake, although the formula is sometimes shaken up in movies like Jason X. However, the franchise is finally being completely reinvented with the upcoming Friday the 13th prequel series, Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake is completely shifting focus away from traditional Friday the 13th stories, a decision that the Halloween franchise needs to follow. Michael Myers' slasher stories have been done to death, and Halloween needs a new story to tell, continuing the trend that may save Friday the 13th and Crystal Lake. Let me stop right there. And let me think for a sec. All right. Because there's a difference there. The difference being that I think there's more of a story to tell before Jason comes into play. You know, you have the whole camp story environment with a young Pamela Voorhees. You got a young Jason Voorhees and his death. I think there's just a lot more to play with. All right. Whereas with Halloween, before the first Halloween, you pretty much had a 6-year-old Michael Myers, and there's not much known about his parents. You know, like Pamela, we know a little bit about her. There's enough to form a good story with Pamela, but as far as like Michael's parents, do we even care about Michael's parents? You know, because here's the problem with Halloween, comparing it to Friday the 13th, is Halloween is a very different killer. Michael Myers is really a blank evil slate. All right. We like him that way. You know, Rob Zombie kind of proved that to us. Even if you really love Rob Zombie's Halloween, you don't love it for the reasons that you liked the first, or maybe even the first few Halloween movies. You know, part of that allure is how Michael Myers is pretty much just a blank slate, evil incarnate, right? Jason's a different story. Jason's not evil incarnate. So you can tell some of the backstory of Jason and get away with it and not be upset. But if you start telling a little bit too much of, you know, the why of Michael Myers, you know, his parents, what did they do to him? Or maybe they did nothing to him. I think you kind of like, you have no options as a writer. You know, and I'm just thinking out loud here, okay? I'm just trying to think what that story would be. Or do you cover Myers' time in Smithsgrove Sanitarium? I think there's a little bit more meat that you can chew on there with that. And you could do a full TV series leading up to his escape. I think maybe there's your answer right there. So maybe that's what they're saying anyway, but I'm thinking out loud here. Let's see if that's what they say, all right? Let's see if that's what they say. That's what I think, though. All right, that's what I think. All right, so Crystal Lake was wildly different than the previous Friday the 13th movies. The series acts as a prequel, expanding on the universe. Let's go down a little bit. It seems most likely that Crystal Lake will be about the Voorhees family, including the events. Okay, we don't need to read that. Halloween has the perfect setup to copy Friday the 13th. We're going to be on this discussion for a little bit, guys. I got notes after this too, okay? I came prepared. All right, I came prepared. Anyway, here we go. The many Halloween sequels have yet to reinvent the franchise, especially compared to what Friday the 13th is doing with Crystal Lake. However, getting rid of Michael Myers and trying something new would be the perfect way to breathe new life into Halloween. Let me reread that part. Getting rid of Michael Myers and trying something new would be the perfect way to breathe new life into Halloween. Do you guys agree with that? Do you guys agree with that? And that's not a loaded question, because I do agree with that. Even though I would miss my boy Michael Myers, I think there's two answers to that question. Or maybe there's one answer that works out best and you get both of them. I think you spend some time exploring everything except Michael Myers, and eventually Myers comes back in maybe like 5 years. I think that's the way to do it. Anyway, continuing on. A trick that the series could borrow from Friday the 13th. Halloween already has the perfect setup for a show like Crystal Lake, expanding in the franchise's universe, even if it isn't a prequel. While future Halloween projects could focus on new killer like Corey Cunningham. Ooh, that's interesting. Because, guys, could Corey Cunningham be alive? And really think about that before you knee-jerk answer, okay? Because think about the rules of the Halloween franchise. Think about if Corey was Michael, okay? If that was Michael Myers, unless his head is chopped off, can he come back? That's an easy answer. Absolutely he can. We've seen him do it 100 times. Does Corey have supernatural powers? Yes, he does. He has the evil floating inside him. So they could actually continue with a Corey type story. All right. A more interesting story was already set up in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. That's debatable. But I'm thinking out loud here. Do I prefer the story of Season of the Witch over the story of Corey Cunningham? It's close. I do love both stories. It is really close. I don't have an answer. I'm like dead even. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch introduced the Silver Shamrock Company, which specializes in manufacturing Halloween masks. In the third film, the Silver Shamrock Company becomes incredibly popular among kids. So they're basically giving you the plot rundown for Halloween 3. All right, let's get to the. Okay, for a relatively minor part, Halloween franchise, the Silver Shamrock Company has a lot of lore. They use that pagan magic, incredibly advanced technology, killer bugs, androids, and so many more elements that are entirely foreign to the rest of the Halloween movies. Despite the Halloween reboot trilogy ignoring almost everything from the sequels, the Silver Shamrock mask appeared in Halloween Kills. With Silver Shamrock still being around in the most recent movies, it seems apparent that the Halloween franchise has more. Halloween franchise has more it wants to explore with Silver Shamrock. A project focusing on the company instead of Michael Myers would be a great way to invent Halloween. So they don't go with my idea. I think that's an obvious thing too, is to do the whole Season of the Witch thing. Tie it in with the Haddonfield story. I mean, we've talked about this before too. To me, I think that's kind of the obvious answer too, is you make a TV series based around Silver Shamrock, and maybe you sprinkle in a little bit of that, the Myers roots in there, maybe even the Strode stuff. Yeah. So I don't think I need to read any more of that. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. Now let me ask you guys this, all right? Because I'm always curious into seeing what you guys think. Would you guys prefer a Silver Shamrock TV series, or would you prefer a Smiths Grove Sanitarium prequel-like TV series, which is kind of like what they're doing with Friday? They're doing a prequel series. And I would welcome both, if I'm being honest. And if I have to think about it here, I'm not gonna lie. I gotta be honest. I would be really curious about Smith's Grove. You know, as much as we want to, I think Smith's Grove. I think Silver Shamrock is the cool answer. Okay, but if those options were laid right there in front of you right now, you have to pick. Grab one. I think some of you might grab the freaking the Smith's Grove, just because out of curiosity. You know, a young Michael Myers told in a different way than Rob Zombie did. Have him be silent the whole movie, like he really was. I mean, Loomis confirmed this. Loomis said he hadn't spoken a word in 15 years, you know? So we know that he's silent. So stick with that idea. But I would still definitely be curious about a Silver Shamrock. And I think you have a lot more options to go with a Silver Shamrock idea, for sure. What's up, guys? You are at the end of the DD Live clip. What I do is I like to clip these out if I think the topic is important or something that's newsworthy. So thank you for watching. And if you want to watch more, you can go over here. You can go over here, click on one of those. And hopefully I can do this for 20 seconds, which I think I did. Okay, so yeah, thanks for watching, guys.